let's go back on the record, and I'll entertain a motion to exit executive session. Motion to made.
Second.
And second. Roll call.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Shiras?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johannes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Vaughn? Yes. 7-0.
I'll entertain a motion to seal the record. Motion to made.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendations as discussed in executive session with the superintendent following up on the level 3 grievance.
So.
Motion for made.
Second.
And second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Shiras?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johannes? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mayo?
Yes.
Mrs. Vaughn? Yes.
7-0.
7-0, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to continue an action on the job performance of the superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Motion been made.
Second.
Second. I know.
Can I just write you all?
Just give us all one, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Do we see?
You ready to move on? Let's, superintendent, facilities update.
That's the inside of the addition over at NSASSP. So that's the central hallway. That is one of the double classrooms. There are 4 classrooms. As you can see, it has ceiling, it has wiring, it has HVAC systems are being put in place. It has air conditioning as part of the HVAC. And it will indeed be ready by the opening of the school.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
The science labs, I don't have the pictures queued up over here. Oh, it's on my phone, that's all right. They're doing the asbestos abatement right now, so the high school looks like the CDC is just ordered quarantine. It's something out of a movie. But the demolition is pretty much done. The asbestos is being pulled out, and again, it is moving very rapidly. I'm going to have some pictures I'll put up on Facebook probably in the next day or two to see the work that's being done. And that's the facilities update. Great. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
Whole business. Fiscal year 20 operating capital budget.
So you have the operating budget before you. We are requesting that you adopt it. The updated numbers are there, in addition to a summary of the changes that were made to get to the town council adopted budget.
Anybody have questions? How did you put the $100,000 in contingency, I assume, somehow?
So $100,000, that's staying on the town side. They didn't transfer that to us. We
No, I
wrote
understand.
them.
So, but
So
we have the expense on our side?
a reduction was made to the expense of the curriculum from the curriculum budget. And at the time that Claire is ready to purchase that, we'll go to the town council and ask for the $100,000.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the fiscal year 20 budget as presented.
So moved.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second. Let's roll call.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Shiras?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johannes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mayo?
Yes.
And Mrs. Vaughn? Yes. 7-0.
I think we have to thank the administrative team for their efforts and their flexibility and their creativity in making this budget work. So thank you very much. It's never enough.
As well as the additional money that was provided by
Absolutely.
the town council.
Absolutely.
We were very appreciative of that. Next item on the agenda is Veterans Memorial Stadium Committee update. And we can also go to the status of outdoor track. I did hear from Mr. Seeley today. They are looking to move forward. I guess for at least the outdoor track and the fields. They're looking at different options and they'll get back to us. I don't know if there's any update on Veterans Memorial Stadium. I assume we're in
Status
holding
quo,
pattern.
exactly. They are moving forward with ideas for signage and for a program in September.
Right, so I think that's what they are. I know that there was the flag football.
Exactly.
And Reconvene made some money, and I heard that was very successful. So that's all great. Do we have any other questions? Okay, strategic plan presentation, Superintendent.
You all have a copy of the strategic plan in your packets, and all I'll say is a few things about it, is that it is, let me just point out, that may very well be a preview of the new logo. It says North Smithfield Schools with EMS. So this is a process that we went through with Justin Martin, and we looked at a lot of different designs, and this is the one that we liked. And with the tagline, a community dedicated to excellence. So we're still doing some defining and redefining of this, and but you will probably see this appearing quite frequently. Now, the strategic plan is a little different than ones that you may have seen in the past. So typically in the past, a strategic plan will lay out initiatives over a 5-year period, and in year one, say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Here's who's responsible for this, this, and this, and this. Here's how much it's going to cost to do this, this, and this. And inevitably what happens with strategic plans is that after a first year or two, somebody leaves. So the person responsible for that part of the plan is no longer there. It costs X amount of dollars. Well, there's a budget freeze that year. So basically strategic plans, as they have been written in the past, within a year or two are no longer valid. They fall out of date. So the approach that we've taken with our plan is to make it more of a series of aspirational goals and priorities. And we've broken that down into 5 core areas. And so each area, like, for example, high standards, quality instruction, curriculum, and student success, has an aspirational goal. All students will achieve high standards, annual growth, and graduate college and career ready as independent, creative, and contributing members of society. Here are the strategies that we will employ to reach that goal. And the important thing is that when, say for example in September, when I present our goals for next year, they will be tied to these strategies. When we have initiatives within the district, they're tied to the strategies. You know, when we determine budgets and how much money we're allocating, it will be based on how effective they are into realizing these goals via these strategies. And along with that are the metrics. How do we know we're being successful? And so there's a whole series of different data points we look at. And one of the things that I started experimenting with, and I know, Peg, I sent you a link for it, but never followed up with you on this to try it out, is a digital dashboard. So as we present our goals, and we look at the strategies, and we have these metrics, I'd like to make it so that it's now visible to anybody who wants to see it. How successful were we in doing this? How do we measure it? Here it is. Here are the results. Here's the trends. Here's the patterns. Here's how effective what we did was. And you know what? If we didn't have a result, a good result, we do something different. All right. So, you know, I'm not going to read through each of these, but it focuses on high quality curriculum, safe and supportive schools, quality staff, and that covers the whole area of professional development. Communication and community engagement, of which we're taking a lot of work we're doing with Martin Associates, and we're rolling it into that. And then effective, efficient, responsive operations and facilities. So we kept it short, kept it flexible, but also kept it to be something that can be easily adapted and connected every single year.
How do you get for response? I know you've asked for feedback.
No, that's right. So we did send out surveys to, we did for the teachers, and we sent it out to parents, and then we also sent it to the community, in which our town administrator also published on his newsletter, and we got from the community probably about 20 responses. And let me tell you, I mean, some of the responses were pretty extensive and very thoughtful. Some weren't. But we did take the responses and we made sure that they were reflected in the plan as well.
What about parents?
Same with teachers, we had about 10. And from parents, probably again around 20. Again, this wasn't a short survey. This was more of a long form type of, exercise for the parents. So that's the strategic plan. So I don't know if you have any questions or.
So the last page, that's sort of like your one-pager.
This is the one-pager guide.
Yep. So it'd be great from a communication standpoint if there's a way you can get that smaller. You know, like you see these things that go out and it's just like,
Right.
like bookmarks. You know what I mean?
Right,
Something-
right.
something that's just so people understand exactly what we're doing. You know?
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions?
I thought it was excellent. The priorities and the goals are all student-focused, and I thought that was great.
One of the a really useful workshop we attended is also how to make the budget student focused. So the whole budgeting process is comes down to how does it impact student achievement, and that's how we have to prioritize these budget items.
Great, thank you. Next item, field trip information guidance policy.
Vote to accept this, approve it, so we can.
Motion to accept
So
the strategic plan, vote presentation, strategic plan itself. Motion to made, second.
Me first.
Chris.
First time.
Made the motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Field trip information guidance policy.
All right, this one I'm going to, it's late, I tried very hard to condense a lot of legal stuff into a few slides. So basically it comes down to we're going to have to modify our field trip policy and fundraising policies to follow state law and also the RIGL advisory opinion in how the law is to be applied. I did go to a legal workshop with superintendents from around the state. We vetted this, we looked at the law, and we're kind of coming together with policies and guidance and recommendations to our districts. So it basically comes down to field trips in that districts may budget for field trips. This is the commissioner's advisory opinion. Districts may budget for field trips so long as the trip is part of the instructional program and all students have the same ability to attend. Fundraising for trips is permissible to supplement district budgeted funds so long as individual students do not have mandated fundraising targets that must be met as a requirement for participation And individuals may be charged for a trip, but only for trips that are not organized by the district using district resources, including district-funded staff. Now, I'm not going to go through each of the laws that this applies to. I can share this out with you, but that guidance that the commissioner put together is based on Rhode Island general law. It's not necessarily an interpretation of it, it's just a sort of collecting all these different laws and how it applies to field trips and how they're funded. I'll share this out with you afterwards. But what it comes down to with field trips, can the district pay directly for a field trip? Yes, as long as the field trip applies to the basic education plan. So for example, if there's a field trip that is not tied to instruction, districts cannot use public funds to pay for something that is outside of the BEP. So an example is a voluntary weekend ski trip.
Or this senior class trip next year.
And I'm going to get to the senior class trip next year, all right? So, district can't contribute any money towards something that isn't part of the basic education plan, right? Can a district engage in fundraising activities for the purpose of funding a field trip? Yes, as long as students and parents involved do not have a mandated fundraising target as a requirement for participation in the activity. So, we can't tell a student that you can go on this trip if you raise $300 in fundraising. We can't force students to fundraise or give them quotas for participation.
May I ask a question with regard to that? The current way the band and chorus do their Disney trips, there are specific accounts for each child
Yep.
as they do their fundraising right now that goes toward their trip.
Right.
Does this mean, the new
Yes.
law mean, that any fundraising that's done goes into one big pot and then has to be divided equally?
Not necessarily, but it can't be a condition on you going on the trip. We can't force a student to fundraise. We can't tell them they have to raise this amount of money to go on this trip. And you're going to see where all of this is going to start getting murkier as we go forward. And then we can apply this to some of these established things that we already do. So, can a district charge fees to an individual student or parent for a trip that is part of the instructional program? No, we can't. We the people, we tell the parent, you have to pay X amount of dollars, all right? And we have to go through a litmus test. Is it a school-sponsored event? And I'll go through the test with you. Is it part of the basic education program? And there's a whole series of questions. What it comes down to is, no, we cannot directly ask, according to the guidance and some of the laws, we cannot directly ask parents to pay to participate to go on this field trip. We'll get into that a
Who
little
decided the
further.
BEP? That was all the superintendents?
What's that?
Who decided the BEP was the test? Was that the superintendents or
That
is that
it's
from?
some of the laws that I skipped over, all right?
I'm not complaining, I just, I
Right.
haven't seen the BEP in a while, so I was a little surprised.
Can a district sponsor a field trip or tell parents or students that there is a $10 voluntary donation? Yes, you can do that. Right, so for example, and I did run an experiment with this. We had a field trip, fourth grade field trip to Slater's Mill. And all of this was going on, it was in the news, and people were questioning, well, can we charge? So I did something that some districts have tried and have done in the past. And they changed the permission field trip slip, saying, we have a field trip to Slater's Mill, it'll cost you $10. 2, we have a field trip to Slater's Mill, and we're requesting a $10 donation towards it. You have to cancel the field trip.
Really?
Yeah. we can raise enough money to pay for the bus or to entries. Yes?
I have a question. At this, I mean, just a comment and a question real quick. I've heard a lot of people question this decision and by a commissioner, by the way, who is no longer there. It was one of their last decisions made before they left the door. Now we have a new commissioner. Was there any talk at the superintendent's meeting about, revisiting this issue with the new commissioner? I mean,
So I can tell you, we've asked, this is really, really, truly not on the new commissioner's radar. It may be. One of the solutions, and we're jumping forward a bit, is to try to get the laws changed. Because right now, the way the laws read,
okay, I'm gonna recuse
this
it.
is
We're gonna
the
put it out.
guidance, this is the legal guidance.
I got to recuse it from my point.
All right. So the questions we have to ask on a field trip, is it school sponsored? If it is, then we cannot charge a fee. Because education has to be free and equal. There are laws there that say no school department employee or administrator can directly ask a parent or a student to pay for something that is school-sponsored or the second part is a part of school instruction. If it is, then we cannot charge a fee. Do all students have the same ability to attend? If it's a school-sponsored event and it's part of instruction, the answer has to be yes, we can, and a fee has to be, and a fee can be charged. No fee can be charged. Is the district paying its employees to participate? Now, here's the thing. If it's yes, and this includes a stipend. So I'm a senior class advisor. I am going on the senior class trip. That means it automatically becomes